Hello everybody. Today I'm going to start what's going to be a 3 to 4 part video series on kind of an introductory use of Carrara. I'm not going to be talking about it, I'm actually going to show you how to model a simple object for a scene, in this case a fence. There's always one way to model a cat, so there's no quote-unquote best way of doing anything, but if there were, this would not be it. I'm actually going to show you what's probably a very poor way to go about doing this, but I'm doing it simply to show you the most of Carrara that I can within this particular scenario. So to get started here, I've opened up just a simple medium-sized scene, and to start out, I'm going to pick the spline object from the top, which looks like a little wine glass here up on our top toolbar, and then click our scene, and this will bring us into the spline object. Now, everybody knows every good quality Americana fence post is going to have not just a post, a round post, but it's going to have a little top, a cap. There's some fancy term that I learned in art history for it, but I don't remember what it is. So we'll talk about it as the head or the cap of the post, and that's what this video is going to focus on. We're going to use the spline modeler to do that. Now, I could just model the entire post at once, creating kind of an entire symmetrical lathe object where it's all round all the way around, but I don't want to do that. Good posts have a nice square cap and a round post, so I'm going to just do the cap, and we're going to start with the square. Now, if you look at the spline modeler, we're going to see our familiar working box, but we're also going to have this other plane that just kind of runs through the middle, as well as these couple of purple lines. This is our starting point for our object. Now, the spline modeler can do a lot of stuff. I'm just going to be kind of scratching the surface here and showing you what you could do. A traditional lathe object in here, which works really well because you can actually see what you're doing while you're doing it. But in this case, instead of a round object, I'm going to do a square. And there's a square or draw rectangle at the top. So we're going to click that, and we're going to click anywhere on our plane. By holding shift, we can make sure or ensure that it's going to be perfectly square. Now, it's not exactly centered, so and at the top we'll see this arrange menu and center selection, which will put our square right dead center, which will help us for our next step here. Now, before we can even start, we need to go to geometry. Now, you see a number of options. The second option down is the extrusion envelope. And we have a number of options in here: symmetrical, symmetrical and plane, and free. What we want is symmetrical. This is going to make sure that our object is the same on all four sides. Now we see a couple other lines up here, and these define the outside of our object. And on this blue line, I'm going to go up to the add point here at the top, and I'm going to add a few points to our blue line here. I'm going to add 3 points at the beginning, one somewhere in the middle, and then a couple more towards the end. Now we have all the points we need, so I'm going to click the line again after clearing my after clearing my selection. I'm going to click on the line again, and I'm going to pick one of these things, and I'm going to bring it up and zoom out, and you can kind of see how it's affecting our object. I'm going to click this one in the middle, I'm going to bring it down, move it around a little bit, and then click towards the end and pick one of these and give us another little bump. Now I'm also going to go over here to the second object, which is the convert point, which allows us to convert our points to smooth curves instead of just sharp edges. We'll smooth out a couple of our rough edges here. Then I can click the move tool and kind of tweak it. So let's have a look around. Well, this is a good starting point. This will work for us. This will be a nice little post cap for us. Now, since spline objects are only usable within Carrara, we might want to transfer these objects around. And in this case, it's good practice, and generally tends to work pretty good. In general, as a rule, just the spline objects don't always look the way you would think they would, or you can't necessarily operate them on the same way that you would maybe want to. So we're going to go ahead and convert this to a vertex object, and we can do that by going to edit all the way at the bottom, convert to other modeler. pops up this little window, and we have the object to change to the vertex modeler, which I have selected. And then just press OK. And now we have a vertex, our polygonal version of the object we just created in the spline modeler. Now before I leave, I'm also going to double click on any of the polygons in the object, and you'll see some yellow lines here. Just FYI, that's letting us know where these sharp creases are being defined on the object. If they were blue or a different color or red, then that would indicate that they were smooth and that the renderer would smooth those areas. But before I leave, I also want to untriangulate the object, kind of reduce some of the geometry that was constructed in the process of converting it. We now have our little cap, and that concludes the first part of this tutorial. When you return, I will model the post.